Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the organizer and founder of CASA, CA Sumit Garg, I extend a warm welcome to all the esteemed participants who have joined us today for this refresher course on corporate law. Today's session focuses on a subject that is highly relevant and rapidly evolving in the professional landscape: SME IPO, Laws and Procedures by CS Deepak Sharma ji. This upcoming discussion will not only strengthen our technical and understanding, but also provide valuable practical insights that we can implement in our professional engagements. We encourage all participants to note their questions. An interactive Q&A session will take place towards the end, so please feel free to share your queries in the chat box. Before we begin, it is my privilege to introduce the driving force behind this initiative, CA Sumit Garg, founder CASA. Sumit sir is a fellow member of ICAI with over 18 years of professional experience. He has also served as the Secretary of NIRC of ICAI during his tenure as a regional council member. Since its inception in 2010, CASA has been devoted to the growth and welfare of the CA fraternity. Under Sumit sir's dynamic leadership, CASA has been consistently creating meaningful platforms for learning and collaboration, including webinars, seminars with expert faculties, and various professional development initiatives aimed at grooming young chartered accountants. With great respect, I now invite Sumit sir to share a few words with us. Sumit sir.
Thank you, C. Priyanka ji, for coordinating today webinar. And a special thanks to Deepak sir, who has a mentor about this secretarial work and definitely doing the great job and delivering sessions at the various platform with the ICAI, ICSI and ministry also. So thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation, sparing your valuable time with us.
Thank you, Sumit.
I can see Ajay Kejriwal sir, who is mentor to us, and many other members who have joined today discussion or who will watch the later on. Welcome to each one of you. And definitely today's topic is very much relevant because everywhere we can see there is a new IPO coming. So what are the requirement at the part of the ROC MCA concern, and what are the requirement for a company to launch a IPO? So we will discuss and what are the law relating to it and procedure. Definitely we will cover. And whatever you have query, you can post in the chat box. Deepak sir will take care. Will all queries. Priyanka is also there. And I am also here to discuss. And I hope earlier three sessions was also meaningful. And you can share the feedback to me. And now, once again, welcome and thanks to each one of you for joining. And definitely today is also going to be a wonderful session. Now, over to you, Prinka. Mute, Prinka.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words that set a perfect tone for today's learning. Over to you, Deepak, sir.
Thank you, Sumit sir, Kasa, Priyanka, and all the members who are present over here. The topic which has been finalized by none other than Mr. Sumit, CA Sumit, rather one of my good friends. We were just discussing the what should be the topic. So what is relevant? That is, I think, narrated well. Whenever we compare some topic with the fraternity, with the CA fraternity, so what is the best option which are available in the market, in the commercial field, in the economy which is upcoming for India? So I think we were just deliberating this particular topic with Sumit, and then we finalized this topic that we should definitely throw some light on what is going on in this particular segment actually of SME IPO or whatever the main board IPO. Market is not flooded, I must say, with the IPO, but market is flooded with quality IPOs nowadays. Why? Because there is a stiff, stringent rules which are coming from both SEBI and stock exchanges, and taking care of that. Whenever we are, working with our clients very closely, we know we are the doctors, we are the chartered accountants, doctors for our client to, diagnose that sort of a requirement, and that is a fund requirement, and how well we can manage their IPO dream actually. So I will definitely start with one of the books. I will be just quoting. I take your liberty which has been written by CA Dr. Sunil Gupta ji, one of my best friends, and very instrumental in this particular field. I have contributed to some extent to his book also. So this is the book, How You Take It. In fact, this is Go Public, Build an Empire, right? So I will definitely recommend all of you to go through this book. Why? Because this gives you a glimpse how to prepare, how to start, preparing for SME IPO. We are chartered accountant, we are company secretaries, we are professionals, and wherever there is a question about primary market or the secondary market, we are the advisors, the best advisor for our client. The client tend to ask many of the questions, including legal questions, whether they are entitled to come out with the IPO, whether their books of accounts are showing that much of turnover or profitability, whatever is there actually as per the last financial year. So they will definitely tend to ask certain questions from you, and it is you actually who will explain that how good it is for them to come out with that objective and dream actually, which may come true when you are raising money through public actually. If I just take the journey of 2025 itself, the data is before me. The SME IPO segment is increasing by leaps and bounds, and many of the SME sectors which are dominating in that particular field belongs to both service sector or the manufacturing sector. In 2025, there were about 215 SME IPOs were launched. And I have to categorically mention before you through this platform, and as per the data which has been published by the respective regulator, that out of this, around 115, more than 60% of the total IPOs which were introduced in 2025, they opened in gain actually. Whatever the market sentiments have been, but they opened in gain. Around 90 IPOs were there which were listed in loss, and that was a momentous loss. Again, they just gained something and overcome their past whatever the losses were. The upcoming or ongoing IPOs are around 6 or 7, which are there in the SME segment, and IPO which are in gain as on date. If you looking at the sentiment, market sentiment, it is around 140. This is the mathematics sort of a thing. Before you start and before you just go further, I will be sharing my PPT shortly. But you have to create a mindset that why this particular topic which has been decided by CASA. Uh, you know, we are working closely with our clients. We are sitting across. We are facing clients face to face. We know their requirement. We know their requirement both financially and perspective wise and business wise. And whatever the best practices we can just introduce to them, including infusement of funds, including regulatory aspects, including some legal compliances, including some consultancy or advisory services related to IPO, I think we are the best person. Now, presume that you are sitting with a client and you have to update him. And your client definitely wish to have a single gateway with regard to 360-degree in education or knowledge about some upcoming IPO, or maybe a IPO which may be related or unrelated to his company as well. So here are some answers which we may just provide to them. The readiness actually. Why? Because on day one, when he initiate the dialogue, when he initiate the conversation with you, he may not be in a position to tell you that what is to be done from today. It is a strategy, it's a policy, it's a market sentiment, it's a future, it's a structure, and it's also the company's business philosophy. Now, here, the client will dominate in terms of his future plans, in terms of his infusion of funds, and in terms of where these infusement of funds shall be utilized. Means objective of the IPO. What should be the objective of the IPO? So I think these are some of the parameters. We will be sitting in his room actually and discussing those various aspects, various questions across the table. Whenever you tend to have that sort of a conversation, I think 90% of the chances are that you are ready. You are ready with your answers. The only thing is, please understand his business. Why? Because you have definitely been working with him so long. But nevertheless, you have to take care of his business philosophy, his mindset, and his structure. Whether it's a closely family company or they are moving ahead with some professional approach whereby they can just introduce some of the professional directors also. Why? Because this forthcoming process of SME IPO will require restructuring of their board also. So here the education system starts from your side, and that is why this particular topic, I think we will definitely take those questions also coming from your side. So with this, actually, with this initial phase of discussion, I take this opportunity to share my PPT, and whatever the questions are there, as Kasa has requested you, please record your question in chat room. I will definitely try to address all the questions whatsoever, and we will definitely deliberate also. It's not a one-way traffic. Please feel free to put as many questions as you can, actually, right? So with this, actually, I share my screen. So this is the backbone of SME IPO. This is a due diligence process. Priyanka, can you confirm that slide has changed?
Yes, sir. The side has changed.
See the torch bearer of IPO compliance.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So now, this is not a picture which I have just pasted over here. This may be a prolonged story. When I personally feel, and when I personally participate with the board of directors or promoters in their boardrooms or conference rooms or in their respective offices, I have to spare hours with them. After understanding their financial need and their financial parameters, which you know better as a chartered accountant, as a professional chartered accountant, you may be statutory auditor for them, you may be auditor for them, you may be advisor for them, you may be consultant for them, you may be referred by some common chartered accountant or common company secretary. But the moot answer is that you are facing a future promoter who is ready to capture this market. So we become the torch bearer for IPO compliances and compliance readiness or IPO readiness. So how chartered accountant professional can ensure all the governance part or the legal part accurately before, during, and after the IPO preparation. And here, I think you will definitely require to update you also to prepare yourself. It will be sort of a academic interest out of the academic interest. But apart from understanding the financial parameters of that respective client, you need to know the regulator perspective also. How stock exchanges are coming with the so many regulations which we require to comply. Because when you understand the compliance part, then you are a full sort of a package for the client, that you are providing that services to your client actually. Now you also try to act as a key facilitators. So many other market factors will join you for the purpose of giving that consultancy to your client, to the prospective IPO promoter. Then among them, one of the basic requirement of an advisor is merchant bankers, auditors, and promoters. So you are the facilitator among all actually, because you are the internal force of that particular client. So you facilitate, you become a torch bearer among all classes of stakeholders, including merchant bankers, auditors, and promoters. And this is how your responsibility is created as far as the statutory requirement of that particular segment of a company or industry segment is concerned, the legal requirements, the governance model which that particular company or promoter has introduced in their respective company or maybe respective a group company actually. Now, those all have to be aligned with the SEBI and MCA and other, accounting standards which have been just, prescribed by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India or the Ministry of Corporate, Affairs of India. So here, your mindset now has started thinking that you are the guy who is the most, paviored person among all stakeholders, who is facilitating, who is also providing that platform where all the stakeholders are looking at you, providing, that one platform services to that particular client. So every time client will definitely look at you for any sort of a question which is coming from all corners, including bankers, auditors, legal practitioners, promoters, directors, or maybe investors also. So here you become a torch bearer for a IPO readiness of your client actually. So this is the mindset I'm just trying to discuss with you, my friends, because until unless we come at the same pace, the same platform, I think it would be pertinent to note that yes, this is a time when I have to be ready first, then I can make others ready. So this is how the this mindset work for you actually, my dear friends. Now let's understand fundamentals of SME IPO. What are the meaning? What is the features of SME IPO, so that we can easily discuss and conversate with my client whether they are actually entitled, whether they are actually requiring that sort of a sort of a stakeholder democracy. They will be opening up their arms where they can dilute their capital and they can share that capital with the public at large. They can expect some great valuation for them actually. What is SME IPO for them? So first of all, the definition of SME, which is related to initial public offering, when you combine together, it comes SME initial public offering, that is SME IPO. Now this is the process. SME IPO is the process by which small and medium enterprises, those are SME enterprises, they offer its shares to the public for the first time as a primary rule actually, and they move from private to public ownership. It means they were private, they were closely held, they were family owned business, they were proprietorship type of a business venture, they were partnership, they were LLP sort of a business ventures. Now they are moving from that structure to a public ownership structure. So you have to convince them, you have to educate them the how it will definitely create some sort of a difference when they are working under the domain of that privatization, a private platform which will tomorrow become a public platform, where their responsibility becomes amount as far as accountability towards the public is concerned. So it's moving from private to public ownership becomes so important that you are the person who will make them understand about the pros and cons about SME initial public offering. So you have to definitely discuss with them, discuss with your clients. Now when we my dear friends, when we take this further, so some of the key features which are coming from this definition are someone who can just I think educate also to the your client. This is, it becomes public listing. It means your shares which are so far in the balance sheet of a company, it becomes tradable, open tradable in the market on a recognized stock exchange. You tend to raise the capital, so funds will be required for the purpose of your future plans, for your some collaboration, new plant, some business, capturing some market, maybe your expansion plans, maybe existing debt repayment, right, subject to certain restrictions imposed by the SEBI or stock exchanges, or some new acquisitions. Maybe you may require you may require some new business jurisdiction wise, or maybe decentralization of your business wise. When you calculate your eligibility, so SME must meet a specific regulatory requirement to qualify. So I will definitely covering up those eligibility criterias as well. But You can educate your client that it becomes a, a platform where market visibility increases. It enhances your brand reputation, pan India basis, and public trust becomes notable, important among all the stakeholders, including the government, actually, right? Including the bankers, including the your existing customers or existing clients also. So your accountability increases, so your reputation also increases. So this is what you have to definitely tell them. I'm taking this topic very fundamentally, so that whatever we have learned in the boardroom where I share that conversation with my clients, so same here, I just want to set the tone of my PPT, whereby I think we all are on the same platform. Why? Because today or tomorrow we have to interact with our clients with the same mindset, actually. Mindset, then, that is why when you say what are the advantages of a SME IPO, so the question from the promoter will come to you. Oh, Mr. Sharma, tell me what are the advantages. Why should I go for a IPO? I'm happy with the existing setup. Earning good. I'm venturing into new collaboration. I'm getting good business, and there is no regulatory aspects. Why should I just take that trauma to my life? Then you have to tell them. Don't convince them. Just tell them. Educate them. That's a look. When you just plan for SME IPO, it gives you sort of many advantages out of it, which you may not consider otherwise. So your mindset becomes public, your mindset becomes positive, your mindset becomes expendable, your mindset becomes thorough, absorbing the new things. Your mindset becomes thorough in terms of taking new ventures into their hands, actually. So these are advantages of SME IPO. You have easily, you have a easy capital access to the market, and this is, my dear friends, interest free, all of us know. So this easy approach, to get this easy approach, the existing preparedness which will pave the way to this SME gateway definitely will require some stringent rules to be complied with. But after all, you will have a access to the capital. You may plan your debt may be unsecured, secured, whatever. Debt may be from banks, financial institutions, friends or public, or maybe promoters or directors. Debt may be in any form of term, CC, or maybe OD limits. And the burden of interest, which convert into sort of a bottom line increase, that is profit, it will give you good PE, actually, in the market. So that is something which you have to just make them understand. Your brand visibility and credibility increases, my dear friends. In recent times, sorry, I can quote many of the examples where a company which was jurisdiction wise relating to a district, it was restricted to a district, and many of the vendors who are situated at nearby districts only, they were not aware that this company is operating from that particular district. Say, for example, Ghaziabad. If SME is working in Ghaziabad, maximum to maximum Noida, Delhi, Gurgaon, maybe nearby stations, they may know something if they are using their product or services, that this is the company. But when you approach this SME platform, it becomes a visible part for pan India basis. So your brand visibility automatically increases, your credibility automatically increases. So you have to just share that thought with your promoters, with your directors, with your client, actually. Vendor management becomes so easy, my dear friends, that whenever there is a network of vendor which is working under the domain of your company or industry, so it becomes so easy to tackle after having some sort of a transparent regulatory aspects which you are going to introduce in the market. Credibility also increases the credibility and confidence of the vendor also. So it is really easy to just manage those part also. You love the automation part. Technology is the AI is the today's requirement for even a single gateway company, even a small company, even a micro company. So automation becomes accessible to you when you access the finance through this market norm. Your net worth valuation increases. Why? Because you have access to the public money without interest, without any obligation. But when you are gaining business out of this capital utilization, your net worth valuation in the eyes of investors, by any chance, increases actually. By that part, the best in-house human resource management, the valuation for human resource management increases in the eyes of other stakeholders. So these are some of the advantages for SME IPO which you can try discussing with your client or prospective client, or with your promoter or director, my dear friends. So I also always recommend that whatever you are doing as a chartered accountant, whatever you have been into, actually, maybe whatever your foray, your expert part is, maybe you are statutory auditor, you are doing internal auditor part, you are doing income tax, GST, audits, maybe advisory, financial parts, financing, banking, whatever. But when you put yourself into a sort of an IPO advisory service, you will become a niche in this market actually. Why? Because no other profession than CA becomes a good IPO advisor. You may move from the existing setup of certain audits, filings, certifications, representations, to a IPO readiness consulting. So you are the person who is closely associated with the promoter, and you can just make them ready for the future IPO. So your consultancy become as a IPO advisory services. You have to take charge of some pre-IPO restructuring. Restructuring becomes inevitable in terms of your balance sheet, in terms of your system, in terms of your procedures, in terms of your in-house team, in terms of your structure of the board and future board, in terms of your corporate governance modes. So this becomes a part of your advisory services. It becomes advisory services for the purpose of future readiness when you start preparing DRHP, that is called draft red hearing prospectus documentation. Because most of the part in DRHP, you are the profession who will do due diligence process, and who will just add on in that particular documentation. You are the person who will collaborate with the merchant bankers, registrar and transfer agents, RTAs, underwriters, bankers, investors, and all. So this is the thumb rule, that the profession of a chartered accountant is such which is really ready. The only thing is that it is now having readiness with the dimension of 360-degree mode actually. So this is how your advisory becomes inevitable for your client. Now, let's understand, my dear friends, how this IPO platform works and how it is different from the main board IPO also. So SME IPO eligibility criteria, on NSE it is called NSE Emerge. So there is a different platform on NSE website, that is NSE Emerge, which regulates the IPO part, SME IPO part specifically. And on Bombay Stock Exchange it is called BSE SME. So this is the small connotation which has been assigned to both NSE and BSE. So there are bases on NSE and BSE. More or less these are same, but yes, stock exchange wise it may be different. First of all, you have also understand please that SME sort of a criteria has to be regulated by the stock exchange, and more main board issues are being regulated by the SEBI actually. So this is the basic fundamental difference between SME IPO and a main board IPO. So when you take basis, so when you say post paid up capital, what should be? So the post paid up capital for NSE is determined, and it should not be more than rupees 25 crores. So 25 crore or less than 25 crores can be listed on NSE Emerge. The same is with BSE SME also. When you take track record of a entity or business, or when they have been just carrying on the business, how long they have to show their track. So at least 3 years must have been passed on NSE Emerge if you want to list on NSE Emerge. And on BSc SME also, the 3 years period must have been elapsed actually. So this is what you have to just look into actually. Now, net worth, your net worth must be positive. You must have a positive net worth. The net worth should not be deteriorated, should not be negative. And the company, what BSc requirement is, BSc has just termed it should have a net worth of at least rupees 1 crore for 2 preceding financial years. So next is, what should be the net tangible asset base? So no requirement as per NSE emerge has been there, but BSc SME requires that company which is proposing for an SME IPO, it should have at least 3 crores as net tangible asset preceding the financial year where it is proposing to launch its SME IPO. As far as profitability is concerned, NSE emerge or NSE or National Stock Exchange requires that companies must have operating profits, uh, EBITDA of at least rupees 1 crore for 2 out of the 3 full financial year. And these 3 financial years are preceding the date of the time when you are filing your DRHP. BSc requires that companies must have a operating profits EBITDA of at least 1 crore for 2 out of the 3 full financial years. So as far as requirement of profitability is there, it is more or less same on NSC and BSc. There are certain ratios, and among ratios there is a specific ratio of leverage ratio. So leverage ratio, BSc has required that it should be at least 3:1. Free cash flow, the free cash flow and positive cash flow, the books of account should show a positive free cash flow to equity for at least 2 out of 3 financial years. But BSc has not required such requirement as far as free cash flow is concerned. So when you look at the requirement, I think looking at the balance sheet and looking at the business scenario, you can just have an idea whether a SME is entitled to venture into this market or not. So when they are just following or maybe complying these conditions, they may come to the market, and you can further advise them accordingly, my dear friends. Now, my dear friends, as a chartered accountant, no doubt on daily basis, we learn a lot of things. We take practical exposures also. So, what are the things where I have to prepare my team also? What team I should have? A team which may attend IPO workshops, a team which may have the SEBI updates, where he can just follow the SEBI updates. He can follow the SEBI requirement compliances, stock exchange compliances, listing compliances. And for doing due diligence process, they should have due diligence training sessions also. So you or your team, you or your colleagues, you or your partners, you or your employees, the combination of all, they should have that much of dedication that we can attend those workshops or sessions on these particular topics with regard to SEBI updates and diligence processes. You have to study SME IPO DRHP to understand real compliance patterns. So just go to any stock exchange. You can just have the copy of any DRHP which has been filed earlier by any SME IPO. You can dig out that DRHP, have it, just pursue it. It is almost 300, 400, 500 pages. Please go. Most of the part will be covered by merchant banker itself. So you can understand that where, as a chartered accountant or auditor, you can assist the company in digging out those loopholes where the company may fail or may not comply. So just fill that gap actually. So you please understand that two or I think not more than two, you have to study DRHP for a week time. I take only week time to complete one DRHP where I have to study one. So deeply, I can just make comparisons. I can make some differences. I can just make some SWOT analysis out of these DRHP document. I can just check whether SEBI or stock exchanges has stopped somewhere on a particular point and where my client stands. So I think I can diagnose those future related issues which may crop up while preparing DRHP. When you are collaborating with the other peer IPO advisors or merchant banker, I think you have to gain their experiences also. So gaining insights through this collaborative approach will give you a lot of experience, my dear friends. So many of the times we attend these sessions, as today also Sumitji has provided this opportunity. So here, one or two points definitely will hit you, that, oh, this is the point I should discuss with Mr. X or Mr. Y, who was sometime discussing that should I capture the market, should I approach the market, should I come with my SME IPO. So these are small things which make you prepared and ready to discuss these things with your future readiness, my dear friends. Now, when I say SME IPO is an unexplored avenue, so I'm right. Why? Because I have just provided you the data which was uh, not very exciting. In fact, that many of the companies have not come up, but many of the companies or thousands of the SMEs are preparing, right? So those SMEs which have already been listed, the SMEs which have already been migrated to the main board after 3 years. So this growing ecosystem is such that it is defining a new pathways for the profession of chartered accountant, my dear friends. So this is a unexplored avenue. Please go. Even I think you can target. We are now currently in December 2025, and may I request you all that you please fix a target for you, that in 2026 at least you will work for one SME IPO, at least, and see the change in 2027 or the same time in December 2026. Sorry. Now, it's a massive opportunity, no doubt. It's a massive opportunity to work, to understand, and definitely to capture this unexplored avenue, my dear friends. My dear friends, when you have to approach the market, you have to approach the stakeholder, you have to approach the company, you have to approach different dimensions of the regulations which are there. So there is a legal ecosystem which is built up, right? And you have to apply your legal strategy in these IPO planning process. When you are there with the promoters so closely working, so you have to build a confidence. What is the confidence? Please have the positive mindset. You build a compliance confidence pre and post listing. Some of the time I just speak to certain stakeholders, the promoters, they are a little scared, they are a little apprehensive rather, that after IPO my books are so publicly available. There are also two today also, they are publicly available. I'm accountable. Yes, accountable will definitely, accountability will increase to the public segments. I may be prone to more stringent rules and regulations. Answer is yes, you'll be there. So these pre and post listing compliance confidence, you are the person who will put in, right? So I think you have to build up that confidence among them, that please ensure strong board composition and corporate governance norms. When I say strong board composition, a composition of independent director, appointment of sufficient number of independent director on the board, appointment of some chief financial officers, appointment of CEOs, appointment of a compliance officers, KMPs, right, in the company. So they will definitely be introduced in the company itself as a part of corporate governance. You are assisting in the pre-IPO shareholding restructuring process also. How your valuation may just attract more investors. How good PE can be there. How is your PAT? How you are showing your PAT. What other modalities are there where you can just restructure? Because otherwise, yes, and will just apply on all the previous 2 or 3 years financial statements. Your documentation require reviews. Your internal governance system will improve in a way where it can disclose many of the part of these corporate governance and board structures processes to the public at large. Then you can go for the post-listing requirement and post-listing compliances. You create some calendars, you create some FAQs, you create some disclosure part, and now you discuss these things with the promoters, my dear. So these plannings are there where these legal strategies will give you an insight to the requirements as far as corporate governance norms, regulations norms, or structure of the board norms are concerned, my dear friends. My dear friends, when I say compliance culture is a valuation boost, so I'm not wrong. And you can just have your questions ready with this also. It's a very really a very important slide. If your promoters or my promoters, my company is following a compliance culture, a regulated culture, definitely it will give you some positive energy to your valuation. Why? Because whenever investor is approaching you before IPO or after IPO or during IPO, whatever, so your valuation will boost if you are a compliant company. When you are following already the corporate governance norms, being a corporate entity, so these governance norms will drive the speed of growth in a way where you get rather different valuation in the market in comparison to your peer group industry. So these investor base who value a compliant companies more is not a myth, my dear friends. I have to just tell you, I have to just request you. So you can plan that when I become vigilant about the compliances from my advisor, I become more vigilant when I apply it actually. And when I apply it, the investor will have more value to that compliant company. So this is what where my readiness will start from today, and I will just take that client company up after 1 year to IPO process, and this 1 year where I have invested in its regulations, it is internal compliance system, compliance management, corporate governance processes, good financial tracking system, disclosures. So it will definitely give you some extra valuation. So these proper governance model will reduce any sort of a prospective risk as far as market is concerned, and it will increase your credibility. Now you play a key role in all the investor base in building the investor trust through compliances. I personally have seen that wherever investors have reposed their faith on a promoter mindset, they have first are interacted with your profession and the profession of chartered accountant, where they can convince the investor with regard to the compliance part, proper governance part, regulation part, and risk part. It really enhances the credibility among the investors, and they take this company very positively in terms of when they decide to invest in that particular company. So this is where your compliance culture really is equal to your valuation boost. So I think we should keep in mind. Now you have started the process, you have spoken to your client, you have started the journey, you are making them ready for the IPO due diligence processes. Now due diligence process will start in various corners, right? So a CA-led compliance framework becomes more legal, financial, secretarial, or operational due diligence process. It's a teamwork, my dear friends, and it will definitely ensure transparency, readiness, accurate disclosures, because you have undergone the business models, you have undergone the process of compliances, you have undergone the financial parameters and financial requirements, financial ratios, and fund raising capacity of a promoter or a company, and existing capacity, future strategies which promoter you have been sitting, they are discussing with you. So now it will lay the foundation for all the documents which are proposed to be submitted with the stock exchanges, that is DRHP, and for the purpose of approval of the stock exchanges or SEBI, whatever, then you become a forte into that entire process, my dear friends. Now there may be many types of due diligence processes where you should have a clear mindset as a chartered accountant, then how to go about it? If your team is working, so how to go about it? If you have to educate your team, how to go about it? If you are informing your promoters, how to go about it? So first you have to verify your corporate structure. What is the existing corporate structure? Whether is it a proprietorship, it's a partnership, or it's a LLP, or it's a private limited company. Convert it to the public company. Your business must be 3 years old, not your structure. So even you are, working under the domain of a proprietorship, you can convert it. The, running business of the proprietorship can be taken care of, taken over by the company first, by the public company or the private company whatsoever, and then public company becomes eligible for the purpose of SME IPO. So whenever you have to verify your corporate structure. Any of the contracts which is not probably obstructing your way to come out with SME IPO. What is your strength in terms of intellectual property if you are into service sector, or you are into some product based company which is patented based or whatever? You have to check SEBI and Companies Act compliances. So your team will now start working with SEBI requirement, stock exchange requirement, which I have just already explained the conditions behind the scenes where those regulations will be followed in future also. And if those regulations requiring certain conditions to be complied with, so with those conditions you are ready. You have to identify if that company is with litigation or without litigation. Is there any management dispute which is persisting in the group or company? Is there any family dispute actually? Is there any set of litigations which are there a company is facing actually? So what are the compliance risks? You have to just chart it out, and one by one you have to just filter it out, that now these legal risk will not be there if you are there as advisor. You please identify those areas where litigation or non-compliance risk after the IPO or during the IPO may come up. So this, you are the diagnoser, my dear friends. Now you have to ensure what is the accuracy in DRHP to avoid misrepresentation. When this document called prospectus or red herring prospectus becomes final by the merchant bankers in connection with the SME IPO, you are the person who is just filtering out, vetting the document, and if any of the information which may misleading, which may be out of the context, and which is not substantiated by any of the document or figures in the company, I think you are the best person who can just advise that correction with the merchant banker or due diligence team or legal team. So you have a great role actually as a chartered accountant, looking into the financial regulatory aspects of that particular document that is called DRHP or prospectus. So here the moot answer is a moot question is to avoid those situations where misrepresentation, right, or maybe some sort of a misrepresentation you say, or you identify certain challenges in the books of accounts of the company. It is not as per the accounting standards, or something which you need to comply had not been complied. You are now getting it compounded before many of the authorities. It may be MCA, it may be income tax, it may be GST, it may be IPR, it may be any other documents, like for any other department, my dear friends. So any custodial department, any regulatory department, any industry specific department. So these all will be covering up in your due diligence process, my dear friends. My dear friends, now it's really important as a chartered accountant to look into this financial due diligence process in coordination or with coordination of all the stakeholders. So you have to coordinate with other chartered accountants who are in-house chartered accountant, or who are consultant or advisor to the company or the client, where restated financial years may be required, maybe for 3 years, maybe for 5 years. So you have to restate the financials. You have to review the debt. You have to review the revenue process. You have to review the expense policies. You have to review your ratios which are becoming part and parcel of your balance sheet. You please check, and this check must be substantiated by your action also, my dear friends. It's not a documentary requirement, it's an actionable requirement. So please go and you please confirm the internal control system which are in place or not. For example, you please look at the compliance certifications. You please cross check the consistency between DRHP and financials. So this consistency you can check only, no one else. So in coordination with other stakeholders who are working for this SME IPO, including merchant banker, legal team, in-house team, you are the person who is coordinating your efforts to maintain a consistency between the prospectus and the actual financials of your company. So this financial due diligence process may take months also. I have seen that when we start preparing and readiness for IPO process, it becomes inevitable for me to cross check those small points, to keep in place those back support papers up to substantiate my statements or financial figures in the balance sheet of financials for a client actually. So this becomes inevitable for you also while conducting or while doing your financial due diligence processes in coordination with the other in-house or outsource workforce, or maybe with the when you say with merchant bankers as well, my dear friends. These are certain secretarial due diligence processes which are somewhere related to your own conduct of statutory audit or internal audit, right? So secretarial due diligence may be supervised by you, and it whether you have maintained all the statutory records, registers, disclosures, you have filed everything in time. If anything is there which has not been complied with, whether you have get it compounded while making the uh, non-compliance as good. So as a chartered accountant, you have to ensure that complete statutory filing up to date on certain occasions to comply the corporate actions which has been well recorded in the company documents and which has been intimated to the regulator, including register of companies, reason directors, and maybe other regulatory bodies also in time, right? If certain non-compliances you diagnose, please get it compounded in time. You have to e-adjudicate. So from September 2024, there is a different platform under the MCA which requires that e-adjudication process now can be just conducted, and you can just file your adjudication application with the ministry or with the ROC, who will adjudicate your application, and e-adjudicate will serve e-notices, collect the information by electronic mode, will provide you a representation, will provide you an opportunity to represent actually, and then will e-adjudicate that particular non-compliance. You have to review or verify what is the current shareholding pattern with regard to promoters, public, directors, and maybe another investors or bankers. So you have to just be very clear that those KYCs are in order with regard to that particular shareholding pattern which is persisting or existing in the company actually. You have to review the board and committee structure as per the SEBI listing norms. And one woman director must be there, CFO must be there, independent director must be there. If your board is executive board, means chairman is the executive chairman, then 50% of the board will be filled with independent directors. And if your chairman is non-executive, then one third of your board will be filled with independent directors, my dear friends. So these are the requirements which you educate to your promoters and try to place in record. And to place in record means those patterns actually as per the SEBI and stock exchanges requirements. So whatever is correct or incorrect, please you have to correct the incorrect. So that is the main story. So while conducting this due diligence processes as far as secondary record is concerned, now it becomes very important. Why? Because what I personally feel for you as a chartered accountant, my dear friends, that these operational risk review have to be thoroughly discussed with your client actually. Why? Because you have to identify those regulatory or litigation exposure where your company may be prone to be exposed actually. Please discuss with your client. You have to review the business model, and you have to compare with some peer group industry where your business model is working, whether existing business model will work or some other add-on things will be introduced while finalizing your business model. What are the requirement of various licenses and tax compliances which may provide a good valuation base, right? Maybe you can just also provide or verify a very important corner of your financials, that is related party transactions, and transaction which are conducted not as per the arm's length basis. It may become a target by the regulator. So related party transactions or RPT transactions are important in context to the listed companies. So please discuss these transactions. In fact, tackle these transactions, correct these transactions as per the norms which has been prescribed by the regulator. Now, there are certain, I have seen personally, CSR obligation is there, really easy. But if CSR obligation has been there on your head and you have been just complying with accurately, you have been reporting it accurately, nothing wrong in that. But if you diagnose something unreasonable, please report it. Please discuss it with your client and with your promoters also. So these operations and risk review will give you certain idea that whether apart from financial review, operational review will dominate or your financial review will dominate. So this is something what I can say, that you are exposed to a certain risk which may come up in future when money will be infused in the company as a IPO proceeds. And these operational risk review, if ignored today, may become a big issue tomorrow. So please identify those actions or inactions of the existing client, existing promoters, existing company, whereby you can correct today the incorrect, my dear friends. Now, when you start preparing DRHP, when you start giving inputs to the DRHP, when you start understanding the DRHP, when you become the part of many of the meetings which are going on to finalize the DRHP documentations, certain disclosure will be required to be given. Now, what are those disclosure, my dear friends, and how to cope up with that? So maybe on a regular basis, you have to be in consonance with the merchant banker for the DRHP compilation. So you have to coordinate with your efforts with the merchant banker, whosoever has been there, on the board. You have to ensure complete disclosure of promoter and promoter related entities, promoters biodatas, directors biodatas, key employees biodatas. In fact, KMP biodatas actually. What is the exposure or risk exposure as far as single business segment is there or multi-product business segment is there? So this becomes inevitable to discuss with your promoter, discuss with your client while preparing DRHP documentation. So what I'm just trying to make you understand that DRHP is just not writing something or collating something or recording something. It is something out of the discussion also. A lot of face-to-face meetings would be there to understand that part also, my dear friends. So you have to coordinate your efforts with the third parties. Now you have to review the consistency across the financial, legal, and secretarial inputs. You can understand when a balance sheet is adopted. So balance sheet is adopted by the board first. They recommend the approval of the same before the shareholders, whether it has been done as a compliance rule and whether this has been complied with or not as far as disclosures into notes to account, whether you have given your report clean or with some qualifications, whether those figures which are coming in the balance sheet or financial statement, maybe for example your turnover, your depreciation, your asset base, your related party transactions, your investments, your borrowings, your loan, right, your expenses, they must be backed by the documents, voucher, bill, approvals, resolutions, everything. So this coordination among the different departments of a particular company, you are the on the pivotal part, on the above part, where you can just look at, and you can review that sort of a consistency of a particular direction, or a document, in all type of a document, be it financial, legal, or secretarial. So take the inputs from all the stakeholders, or all the KMPs, or all the directors, all the promoters. So you are the pivotal among all the stakeholders who are working towards this IPO process. So this must be very clear. It should not be that you are at some place disclosing something. For example, if I look at the RPT, related party transactions, if proper board approvals are not there, if proper shareholder approval is not there, then how you have recorded in your financial statement? So that back document as a audit trail, like, just take it as an audit trail, you should have it actually. So while finalizing the DRHP documentation and disclosure, you have to coordinate with many of the departments, many of the stakeholders, and many of the regulators, many of the stakeholders, many of the advisors or consultants across these all segments. My dear friends, now let's take it do and don'ts of IPO due diligence process. Uh, there are certain myth about SME process, that while preparing checklist, while preparing some FAQs, while preparing some document which is narrating the story to write for the prospective IPO, it should be like this, it should be like this. But how to look at this? How it has to be? So these do and don'ts are coming from some practical inputs and experiences, my dear friends. So there are do's actually. You have to keep detailed checklist and documentation, and here various stakeholders including merchant bankers, legal team will provide you that support, whereby you can have a detailed checklist, whereby some VDR has been just created, where you are putting those documents to check. You are putting this document which can be accessible by different stakeholders, and it can be compiled with, whereby DRHP can start taking shape. You have to maintain clear communication with the promoters. You have to maintain clear communication with KMPs, with co-auditors. If you are a statutory auditors, then you are there to have a clear conversation with the audit committee members, with internal auditors, with cost auditors, with secretary auditors. You have to keep pace with the key manager personals, and you have to verify every disclosure, every reporting, every submission of the documents at the back end as a audit trail before you submit on VDR, because VDR document will be utilized for the purpose of finalizing your DRHP. So these are the do's actually you have to follow. Now, what are the don'ts? Please don't skip red flags. So many of the time when you start preparing DRHP, from all corners, including some legal team, investors, maybe merchant bankers, some red flags will be just cropping up on daily basis. Please don't take it very light. If you can satisfy those red flags today itself, today itself. If you can take time, please take time, but don't let it open as a red flag. Why? Because otherwise red flags will pile up and you will not be able to justify your red flags, my dear friends. Whatever unverified documentation information is there, verify it with your audit trail, with the evidence, with the documents, with the financials, with the conversation you have with the promoters. For example, if you have disclosed certain maybe caveat in the auditor report, and if you are substantiating, you're trying to substantiate that your statement in the auditor report, substantiate it. Please get it backed by some of the documents which is giving support to that qualification. The internal compliance system, and what are the steps which will be taking as a as for internal of the promoters are concerned, right? So these are the don't silence processes, my dear friends. My dear friends, this is really exciting, and it's also fascinate me. Why? Because we are professionals. We cannot advertise. We cannot do certain acts which are coming under the domain of a code of conduct. But yes, whenever I capture the market, when I go for IPO assignments, so I have to approach my mindset first to prepare myself for giving every sort of reply to my prospective client or to my client. So if you are starting this IPO advisory work, start within your own network first. So this is a closed circuit within your network where you can start this conversation, and you can you can start educating your clients with regard to IPO assignments. Please shortlist your own clients who are ready to scale up. So the key word is scale up. If a client doesn't want to scale up, just leave it actually. Don't waste your energy on that particular client. If that client is excited, if that client is just, venturing into new fields, if that client is venturing into new business ideas, they want to scale up both, jurisdiction wise, product wise, service wise, range wise, whatever, but they want to scale up. That is a prospective client for you. Educate them about IPO benefits as narrated before, their eligibility criteria, whether in actual they are under the eligibility criteria, whether they can, come with the IPO, or whether they will take some time, maybe 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years, or 2 years time to be eligible for the IPO purposes. Then you have to position yourself as the IPO compliance partner. Please keep in touch with promoters and directors who will definitely, give you some sort of a green signals that yes, we want to now go for the IPO. Now you are the chartered accountant, you are the financial advisor. Best go with the advice of other stakeholders, create a team, and go ahead, my dear friends. I always educate my client first, and it takes almost average 3 months time, my dear friends. Sometimes it may go up to 6 months time. So after 6 months time, my clients require my presence. They ask me to be there with them over a cup of tea. Oh, come Deepak, let's have tea and let's discuss what you have been discussing. Now I am interested. I just want to venture this beautiful SME market, and please get me prepared. So that is there where now your work as an educator, as a pitcher start. So conduct those learning sessions for promoters, business owners. You share your IPO success stories if you have done before. If you have not, so you can just have some association of certain close circuit professions who have done it before. Put it, and then start sharing data of SME platforms of both NSE and BSE with your promoters actually. Now you highlight how IPO boosts valuation and brand credibility, by having certain very sort of a uh, very practical examples which are there in the newspapers, which are there on the websites, which are there on the SME platforms of both NSE and BSE. You can have it actually. Number of cases are there where companies from here have gone to next level, valuation wise, business wise, and penetration wise as far as jurisdiction is concerned. So this brand credibility will definitely increase whenever you are having this SME IPO platform, and where this SME IPO platform is taking you to the main board platform. So this is what educate and pitch will require. uh, Creating a small IPO team is not a big task for you. You are also not very new to it actually. Maybe within your organization, within your small firm, within your small advisory firm, you can have that team, but you can add people actually, right, of different segment, from market, business, science, strategy, policy, financial parameters, compliances, secretarial, legal, everything actually, who can just help you out in finalizing that approach which will take you to that SME IPO approach. So you please include your CA, CS, legal advisors, analysts. You assign clear roles on all documentation part, where they will be just finalizing those statutory records. They will be just vetting the existing record and documentation, and after vetting they will come out with some loopholes if that is there. Please fill the gaps. Please compound any non-compliance before you approach respective stock exchanges with your DRHP. So this DRHP support and compliance support will be required from all corners from your own team actually. So please be ready, create a credibility among your employees also, my dear friends. It's really necessary, and those employees may require to work 24 into 7 also. There may not be any break when you are approaching to final RHP after approval of the DRHP by the regulators, my dear friends. So this is what your small team will do wonders. And participate in success also, distribute that success among your team also, right? Just show them the dreams. After that they will have a next level of understanding, next level of success, and next level of their attitude and mindset as far as SME IPO is concerned. What they have been doing here, they will be doing better. Now if I say, as a chartered accountant, you are the financial advisor, you are the compliance officer to enable a IPO process. So CA profession definitely is evolving towards this capital market. When I say evolving, though it's one of the oldest profession in India, but nevertheless they take very active role in terms of new SME listings on both NSE and BSE. So this CA profession which is evolving means that as a team, when you approach the market regulator, when you create a team, I think this is evolving. IPO advisory is definitely a new wing, is a new sud in your horizon for the further growth areas which you will be looking at positively, my dear friends. Now be the compliance backbone, financial backbone of India's next list SME. My friends, from this compliance officer, financial officer, you become a full-fledged IPO advisor. When I say chartered accountant becomes a IPO enabler or IPO advisor. My dear friends, your role ends here. Now I may come directly to the questions. A lot of questions must be coming. Otherwise, I will definitely, apart from this slide, would like to have some other information with you, which may not be relevant for you. Thank you so much.
So, sir, shall we start with the question, sir?
Why not? Yes, please.
So first question is, who will meet the investors? CV, director will get or professional, and if professional, how to go for it?
Really a very good question. I think जिसने भी ये क्वेश्चन किया है, मैं नो द नेम.
It's CA Ravi Kumar.
रवि जी, बहुत बढ़िया क्वेश्चन है आपका. आपने डायरेक्टली वहां पहुंच गए जहां आईपीओ एडवाइजर सक्सेसफुल हो चुका है. नाउ दे आर प्लेइंग द रोल ऑफ इन्वेस्टर और मे बी इन्वेस्टर एनेबलर, और दे आर कन्विंसिंग द इन्वेस्टर. See, approach wise, you start your working with the valuation, right? And if you have done your homework with the valuation part, now it's your time pitching those educative toolkits with your prospective investor. Now those investors may be from various categories: in-house investors, outside investor, institutional investors, maybe bankers, maybe private equity funds, maybe alternate investment funds. So wherever you approach, I think you are the best person who will be accompanying with the promoters. But I have personally seen where I have been working closely with the promoters in these SME IPOs projects. So I have to educate my promoters first. Why? Because investor want to learn. Investor want to just hear from the client first, from the promoter first, and I'm just backing it up financially. So I'm the second person who can just have a positive approach as far as valuation, as far as investment strategies and investor approach with my promoters, meeting with a positive approach with these investors. मैं कुछ इन्वेस्टर्स से जैसे मिला, who are closely working for an industry specific. मैं कुछ अल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड से मिलता हूं विच आर वर्किंग फॉर डिफरेंट डायमेंशनल्स ऑफ बिजनेस सेगमेंट्स. सो जहां पर मुझे लगता है कि मेरा प्रमोटर ज्यादा अच्छा एक्सप्लेन कर पाएगा, मैं प्रमोटर को आगे कर देता हूं. और जहां मुझे लगता है कि मैं ज्यादा अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन कर पाऊंगा, मैं हो जाता हूं. बट उसके लिए रेडीनेस के लिए आपका क्वेश्चन ये होना चाहिए कि मैं तैयारी कैसे कर रहा हूं. तो व्हेन आई स्टार्ट वर्किंग फॉर दैट पिचिंग, जब मैं इन्वेस्टर से मिलने के लिए जाता हूं, सो आई हैव ऑलरेडी वर्कड ऑन मोर देन 50 FAQs which I have, as a mock drill, worked with my promoter also. मैं अपने डायरेक्टर से बात कर लेता हूं, मैं अपने KMP से बात कर लेता हूं, जिस टीम को मैंने बिल्डअप किया है एंड जिस टीम के साथ मैं इन्वेस्टर से मिलने जा रहा हूं. एंड हमें पता होता है कि किस क्वेश्चन का जवाब किसको देना है, बड़ा क्लियर से है. आप इस चीज को रखिएगा अपने दिमाग में. हम रैंडम रिप्लाई नहीं करते हैं इन्वेस्टर मीट के अंदर. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं किसी भी रैंडम क्वेश्चन का रिप्लाई मैं कर रहा हूं और कहीं पर कंफ्लिक्ट है आंसर में भी या रिप्लाई में ये या अप्रोच में फर्क है. तो आई थिंक रवि जी, मुझे लगता है कि इसके लिए आपको जब रेडीनेस आप करते हैं, तो जो मैं आपको बता रहा था कि आप एसएमई आईपीओ के लिए तैयार कर रहे हैं, आपको इन्वेस्टर के लिए भी इसी माइंडसेट के साथ तैयार करना पड़ता है. अपने प्रोस्पेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस को रेडी रखिए जो इन्वेस्टर पूछ सकता है आपसे. आपके ऑपरेशंस के बारे में होगा, आपके फ्यूचर स्ट्रेटेजी के बारे में होगा, आपके यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ फंड्स के बारे में होगा, आपके एक्सपेंस मैनेजमेंट के बारे में होगा, आपके बोर्ड स्ट्रक्चरिंग के बारे में होगा, आपके कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बारे में होगा, आपके कंप्लायंस मैनेजमेंट के बारे में होगा, आपके आरओआई के बारे में होगा, आप किस तरह से चलना चाहेंगे, और आपके जितने भी बिजनेस आपने प्रोस्पेक्ट्स दिए हैं आपने वैल्यूएशन के बेस पर 2 years 3 years 5 years डाउन द लाइन, आप उसको कैसे अचीव कर रहे हैं उसको प्रैक्टिकली सुनना चाहेगा. तो मैं ज्यादातर केसेस में अगर मैं रेशियो वाइज लगाऊं तो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम माय प्रोमोटर्स और डायरेक्टर्स आर स्पीकिंग इन दिस रिस्पेक्टिव मीटिंग्स विद द इन्वेस्टर्स. तो 60-70% टाइम ऐसा होता है जब इन्वेस्टर वुड लाइक टू हियर फ्रॉम द promoter or directors only. And when as a investor, as a investment advisor or as a IPO advisor, I'm assisting my promoters. So मैं कहीं ना कहीं फ्रंट लाइन में खड़ा होता हूं या कहीं सेकंड लाइन में खड़ा होता हूं, बट मैं बैकअप कर देता हूं. और मैं प्रमोटर्स को बड़ा एजुकेट करके जाता हूं कि जहां भी आपको लग रहा है कि आप अनकंफर्टेबल हैं, जस्टिफाई नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, तो वहां साइलेंट हो जाइए. आई कैन टेक ऑन दीज क्वेश्चंस. एक्चुअली आई थिंक आपके क्वेश्चंस का ये जवाब होना चाहिए. कोई और अगर सप्लीमेंट क्वेश्चन आप पूछ सकते हैं. ये मैंने बेस्ड ऑन माय प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच बताया आपको.
प्रियंका, क्वेश्चंस एक बार ले लो सारे. एंड सुमित कंसल जी कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे, आई थिंक.
हाँ जी सर.
सुमित जी, सुमित जी, चलिए बोल देंगे. आप तब तक क्वेश्चन ले लीजिए सारे.
Okay, sir. So the next question from Ravi Kumar ji is list of legal issue to be taken care of, or you have any checklist of the same?
व्हाई नॉट. अगर कासा ने मुझे बुलाया है तो वो तो मुझे देना ही पड़ेगा. और बट रवि जी, वो आपको जब भी आप डिफरेंट गेटवेज में जाते हैं, डिफरेंट आईपीओ असाइनमेंट्स में जाते हैं, तो आप उसको कस्टमाइज कर लेते हैं अपने अकॉर्डिंगली, इंडस्ट्री वाइज भी कस्टमाइज कर लेते हैं. मैं अपने 2 केसेस को रिकॉल कर सकता हूं. आई एम नॉट नेमिंग दोज बिकॉज अभी वो डीआरएचपी की स्टेज पर हैं, जहां सिंगल लीगल केस नहीं है उनके अगेंस्ट, कोई शो कॉज नोटिस नहीं है उनके अगेंस्ट, तो इट बिकम्स लिटिगेंट फ्री. तो सबसे पहले जब हम प्रिपेयर्डनेस में जाते हैं 1 साल में, तो मैं कोशिश करता हूं कि लिटिगेशन फ्री कैसे बनाया जाए उस कंपनी को, नॉन कंप्लायंस फ्री कैसे बनाया जाए पहले उस कंपनी को. और अगर लिटिगेशन है तो उस लिटिगेशन के मैनेजमेंट को मैं देखूं कि कोई फाइनेंशियल कंटिजेंसी में तो नहीं आ रहा है कोई ऐसा लीगल केस जो मुझे इंपैक्ट डाल सकता है. बिकॉज वो अगर आ रहा है तो मेरे रिस्क फैक्टर में बहुत अच्छे से वो डिनोट करना पड़ेगा, एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा, डिस्क्लोज करना पड़ेगा. तो रिस्क फैक्टर्स ही हैं जो बहुत अच्छे से हम आर्टिकुलेट करते हैं, आप आर्टिकुलेट करते हैं, हम बैठते हैं उन रिस्क फैक्टर्स के साथ. तो लीगल की जो भी रिक्वायरमेंट है नॉन कंप्लायंस और कंप्लायंस की, उसके एफएक्यूज आपको मिल जाएंगे बहुत अच्छे से. मैं भी प्रोवाइड कर दूंगा सुमित जी को इस सेशन के बाद, कुछ मैं आपको प्रोवाइड कर दूंगा जहां
सर
वो पढ़ के
प्रेजेंटेशन,
कस्टमाइज.
जी जी, मैं यही कह रहा था सर, प्रेजेंटेशन अलोंग विद जो आपने एक अभी बताया डॉक्यूमेंट वो शेयर कर दीजिएगा.
बहुत अच्छे से, क्योंकि
अच्छा.
ये तो सीसी आपका जो आपका पीपीटी है, ये तो बड़ा स्मॉल है
हम्म
समझाने
हम्म
के लिए.
हम्म
बट एक मैं नोट हमने बनाया हुआ है आईपीओ के लिए कि हाउ टू गेट यू रेडी फॉर आईपीओ। तो आपको तो 3-4 महीने 6 महीने तो प्रमोटर से बात करनी है, तो डिफरेंट डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स कैसे क्लियर करेंगे उस नोट में आपको मिल जाएगा।
जी, सुमित जी अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड आस्क।
Yes, yes, sir. I'm unmuted now.
Yes, good.
So, thank
Good
you,
to
Sharma
see
sir.
you.
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Sharma sir. This is, in fact, a very upcoming topic, much in vogue, and you have explained it in a very lucid language and very beautifully in this short time. So, sir, my question is that when we go for the due diligence aspect in the IPO stage, is there a broad difference between a legal due diligence and a financial due diligence? Meaning, thereby, can a chartered accountant do contracts, certificates, or a lawyer do the work of financial ratios? Or do we need both the professionals mandatorily?
Thank you, Sumesh, for your questions. Really good question in terms of responsibility of various teams which are working under the domain of SME IPO, right? So these, as I have explained you, that a main front runner is your merchant banker, right? And you are the person who will shortlist the merchant banker, rather, Sumiji, and take your judicial decision when you are shortlisting a merchant banker. Merchant banker, maybe small, big, or whatever. Like for example, you are working with Kotak, Axis. They are not interested in SME segments, right? But you know, just 4 5 days back, in one of our assignment of SME IPO, SDFC has shown his interest, right? They are investing. So when
Hmm.
I look at it, the due diligence wise responsibility, so responsibility of a legal team is different. What the financial team responsibility is actually, certification is a different part. Legal team, secretarial team, and financial team. Maybe being a statutory auditor or auditor, you are giving certain certificates with regard to transactions which have been disclosed in the financials, which are being undertaken by restated financial statements, actually, rather, which are related to your valuations, which are related to your certification to, finalize the ratios, actually, certain ratios, right? So your responsibility is greater than the legal advisor as a chartered accountant, as a statutory auditor, rather. And when legal team is there, so you are not acting as a legal team. Legal team is a different team, right? And that
Okay.
team may be some sort of some firm, legal firm may be there, who understand the modus operandi of these SME IPOs and requirement of SME IPOs. So don't put yourself into their shoes. Their shoes is a different size, actually. Mine is
Right,
different.
right.
So this is a teamwork. The company secretary, the chartered accountants, the lawyers, the team, investors, you know, lot
Right,
of
sir.
different benchmarks are there.
Sir, just
Your
one more
certificate,
thing.
yeah, please.
Okay, okay. So, sir, I've understood the advantages. I want to know that how do we ascertain the threshold or the sweet spot that an entity will now is IPO ready? Can it be a stage that we go premature and there are disadvantages to go for an IPO when the entity is not ready? So, what would be the correct timeline and disadvantages, if any?
सी किसी भी कंपनी को आने के लिए, जो मैंने आपको बताया कि अगर वो प्रोप्राइटरशिप में काम कर रही है, पार्टनरशिप में काम कर रही है, एलएलपी में काम कर रही है, तो उसका 3 साल का एक बिजनेस ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड होना चाहिए। अब अगर वो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड फुलफिल हो गया, तो आपने हो सकता है प्रोप्राइटरशिप को आज की तारीख में कंपनी में कन्वर्ट किया, आज से 6 महीने पहले या 3 महीने पहले कंपनी कन्वर्ट हुई है, बट यू कैन हैव द एक्सेसिबिलिटी टू द मार्केट। कंपनी
Right,
पुरानी नहीं होनी है, बिजनेस पुराना होना है आपने, पहली बात तो ये।
right,
राइट समझ जी। नाउ जब आप इस सेगमेंट में आगे बढ़ते हैं, तो जो आपका क्वेश्चन आया, उसका जवाब मैं 2 तरीके से दे सकता हूं। जब आप मार्केट में आना चाहते हैं, तो आप रेडी कब से हुए? तो उसका एग्जाम्पल मैं आपके सामने कोट करता हूं। जून 2023 में हमने एक क्लाइंट को अप्रोच किया, या क्लाइंट ने हमें अप्रोच किया, डिस्कशन चले, तो हमने उसकी बैलेंस शीट में देखा कि इसकी बैलेंस शीट में जो पैट है, वो करीब, आई थिंक रिकॉर्डेड कोई एक एक्स अमाउंट था, 7.5 8 करोड़ के आसपास का पैट आ रहा था उसका, राइट? हमने उसको ना फायदे गिराने शुरू करे आईपीओ के, उसको हमने थोड़ा एजुकेट करना शुरू किया।
hmm,
आज 2025 की बुक्स में वो 13.5 14 करोड़ का पैट लेके बैठा है, और वो बिल्कुल क्लियर है कि मुझे अभी आईपीओ में नहीं आना है, मुझे 31 मार्च 2027 की बुक्स के बेस पर आना है। तो आपके क्वेश्चन का एक आंसर ये हो गया कि देयर इज नो हरीनेस इन टर्म्स ऑफ अप्रोचिंग द मार्केट। आपने 2023 में उसको एजुकेट करना शुरू किया और वो आज टारगेट कर रहा है कि 2027 में जाके मार्केट कैप्चर करेगा। तो अगर मैं कहूं कि अगर वो 31 मार्च 2027 की बुक्स के बेस पर आईपीओ को कैप्चर करना चाहेगा तो वो टारगेट कर रहा है 25 करोड़ का पैट। अब 25 करोड़ की पैट में अगर उसको मैं कहीं वैल्यूएशन की बात करूं, हाइपोथेटिकली बात कर रहा हूं, उसको अगर 10 का भी पी मिल रहा है तो उसकी 250 करोड़ की वैल्यूएशन हो जाती है सुमित जी, राइट, जो कि 2023 में नहीं थी।
राइट राइट।
अगर आज की डेट में मैं बात करूं तो 2023 में जब वो सोच रहा था तो क्या सोच रहा था, 2027 में उसकी अगर वैल्यूएशन 250 करोड़ की है, अब वो 25% भी अगर डाइल्यूट करता है तो आप सोच सकते हैं कि आईपीओ का उसका साइज क्या बनेगा। और उसने अपनी इंटरनली इस प्रोसेस में जब वो बैलेंस शीट को ऊपर ला रहा है तो अपनी इंटरनल ग्रोथ को करते हुए कंप्लायंस को भी कहां लेके चला गया होगा। तो ये एजुकेशन 6 महीने की भी हो सकती है और ये एजुकेशन 3-3 4-4 साल की भी हो सकती है। मतलब आई एम नॉट डिनाइंग दैट फैक्ट। और उस प्रोसेस में सुमित जी कैटेगोरिकली मैं एक चीज और रखना चाहूंगा कि हो सकता है आपने जर्नी 10 लोगों के साथ शुरू की, 5 तो बीच में दम तोड़ देंगे। बहुत 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 ब्लंटली बोल रहा हूं आपको मैं, किसी भी वजह से, कोई भी वजह हो सकती है, उनके कोई बिजनेस थ्रेट्स आ सकते हैं, उनको कोई प्रमोटर थ्रेट आ सकता है, कोई मेजर लिटिगेशन आ सकता है, कोई डिस्प्यूट आ सकता है, या वो जिस मोमेंटम पे जाना चाहते थे वो नहीं जा पा रहे, बट वो बहुत अच्छा भी कर सकते हैं। तो आपके लिए फिल्ट्रेशन करना बहुत जरूरी है, उसके साथ चलना बहुत जरूरी है उन 4 सालों के लिए। तो आप क्योंकि स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट होते हैं, आप क्योंकि इंटरनल ऑडिटर होते हैं, तो आपके लिए इस प्रॉक्सिमिटी को चेक करना बड़ा आसान है। चाहे उनकी ऑपरेशनल गेन को देखना हो, उनके फाइनेंशियल बुक्स को ठीक करवाना हो, ठीक से आपने बिजनेस को क्लोज वॉच करना हो, उनको टाइम टू टाइम एडवाइस करना हो, डिफरेंट स्टेक होल्डर के साथ बैठ के आपने चर्चा करनी हो, तो यू विल टेक टाइम। आपको वो एक सेगमेंट बनाने में बहुत टाइम लगेगा। आई थिंक हो सकता है मैं पूरा एक फाइनेंशियल सॉरी फाइनेंशियल ईयर लेके चलता हूं आपके लिए सुमित जी।
तो इसका मतलब सर जितनी आपकी बात से समझ में आ रहा है, आई कुड से दैट सेफली कि अगर मैं 1 या 2 साल तक उसको हैंड होल्डिंग कर रहा हूँ, इट्स अ बिग प्रैक्टिस एरिया फॉर अ कंसल्टेंट और अ प्रोफेशनल प्री आईपीओ ऑल्सो।
Pre IPO also.
So
This advisory starts from pre IPO.
so this because he may not convert into an IPO tomorrow. Maybe the success rate is only 10%, 90% won't go there, but we will
Maybe
charge fee.
5%.
But
Yes, maybe
we will
5%.
is that a total work of 90% pre IPO?
Pre IPO. Absolutely. I
So
agree with you.
so could there be any? I will be really grateful to you, Sharma ji, because you are an expert in this domain. Any note or any kind of a checklist pre IPO?
Absolutely. Yes, Sumiji, that is there.
If you could share with us, sir, it will be really great for us all professionals.
100%. 100%.
बिकॉज सारे तो आईपीओ पे जाएंगे नहीं, 10 में से जो 9 है उनका तो हम काम करें कल को। इट्स अ गैम्बल, मतलब आई वुड से दैट जो जो आईपीओ
Sumiji,
में जाएगा वो तो फिर हम कर ही लेंगे क्योंकि वो सीख
Sumiji,
जाएंगे हम उतना काम।
प्री सेट क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, प्री आईपीओ बेस्ड
जी
क्वेश्चंस
जी
होते
जी
हैं। अब ये
जी जी
क्वेश्चंस
जी
इस तरह से हो सकते हैं कि लाइक आपने माइंडसेट को पढ़ना है, कहीं ना कहीं आपने एग्जिस्टिंग एक छोटा सा हेल्थ चेकअप कर लेना है। मैं उसको
जी,
ड्यू डिलिजेंस नहीं कहता, मैं हेल्थ चेकअप कहता हूं कंपनी
जिसको
का।
हम डायग्नोसिस कहते हैं, एक तरह का
डायग्नोसिस
डायग्नोस्टिक।
कहते हैं, जैसे आप भी करते हैं कि जब
जी।
आप किसी को बैंक लोन दिलवाते हैं, बहुत छोटी सी बात मैं करवा रहा हूं,
हम्म,
तो छोटा सा हेल्थ चेकअप तो करते ही हैं फाइनेंशियल्स का, जो बैंक
जी
को भी आपको देना है। तो यहां भी आप कर लेते हैं। बट यहां पे बस थोड़ी सी हल्का सा चेंज ये है कि आपने एक डिफरेंट डायमेंशन के प्रोफेशनल्स को अपनी टीम में ले लिया कि जरा ये कॉर्नर चेक कर लो,
हम्म,
ये कॉर्नर चेक कर लो, ये कॉर्नर चेक कर लो। लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको एक छोटा सा एक और एग्जाम्पल अपना बताना चाहूंगा। वी स्टार्टेड जर्नी विद वन क्लाइंट इन द मंथ ऑफ जनवरी 2025,
जी
और हमारा प्लान था कि हम दिसंबर में डीआरएसपी को फाइल कर देंगे। लेकिन अक्टूबर आते आते हमारा ड्यूडेंसी प्रोसेस इतना टाइम ले लिया, उसमें इतने सारे डायग्नोस्टिक फैक्टर्स निकल आए जिनको राइट कराते कराते, कंपाउंड कराते कराते हमें टाइम लग गया। नाउ वी हैव सेट ए न्यू लाइन कि भैया अब हम 31 मार्च 2026 के बेस पर जाएंगे, हम 30 सितंबर 2025 के बेस पर पी मेच्योरली जा रहे हैं। ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि आप 30 सितंबर 2026 के बेस पर जाए, 31 मार्च 2026 के बेस पर भी ना जा पाए। जब तक आप अपने रॉन्ग को राइट नहीं कर लेते, कंपाउंड नहीं करा लेते, तब तक आपको नहीं जाना चाहिए। तो वो चेकलिस्ट नहीं कहना चाहिए उसको, मैं कहूंगा कि कुछ प्रीसेट क्वेश्चंस हैं जो आपको अपने प्रमोटर से पूछ लेने चाहिए, उनसे चर्चा कर लेनी चाहिए रादर। और अगर आपको पॉजिटिव कन्वर्टेशन मिल रहा है और आपने अपनी एक ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस को 50% पैरामीटर पे क्रॉस कर लिया है 50% आप करा लोगे, उसमें 6 महीने भी लग सकते हैं, 2 या 3 साल भी लग सकते हैं, लेकिन मार्केट में वो आएगा जरूर।
Very good input, sir. Thank you so very much. It's got a very good clarity. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Deepak sir, shall we move to the next question?
Yes, of course, please.
So the question is from Mr. Abhinav. He says a partnership firm has been acting as the statutory auditor of our company for the past 12 years. Now the company is being converted into a limited company as part of the process for proposed listing. In this context, kindly clarify whether the same partnership firm can continue as the statutory auditor post conversion or whether the mandatory auditor rotation requirements under Section 139(2) of the Companies Act and the applicable rules shall apply, requiring the existing auditor firm to resign due to completion of its maximum tenure.
अच्छा, ये तो कंपनीज एक्ट का क्वेश्चन हो गया, इट्स नॉट रिलेटेड टू आईपीओ रादर।
Yes.
तो जब आपका स्ट्रक्चर चेंज होता है तो आपको ये कंप्लायंस कर लेनी चाहिए। व्हाई? बिकॉज जब आप एमसीए पर जाते हैं तो एमसीए पर फ्रेशली जाते हैं, तो हम सेक्शन 139 के में हमेशा ये कहते हैं कि जो आपका पुराना वाला था उसमें आप अपने को एग्जिट करते हुए दिखाइए, और आपका जो 5 इयर्स और 10 इयर्स का ब्लॉक है अंडर द प्रोविजंस ऑफ कंपनीज एक्ट 2013, that starts from the day when your company has been incorporated। तो जिन भी साहब का एक क्वेश्चन है उनको ये मैं कह दूं कि पार्टनरशिप फर्म का आप एक नया अपॉइंटमेंट लीजिए इस कंपनी में आकर एज ए फ्रेश अपॉइंटमेंट, राइट? और प्रीवियस अपॉइंटमेंट को यहां काउंट नहीं किया जाएगा, सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल, क्योंकि एज ए कंपनी आपको ये फ्रेश अपॉइंटमेंट दे देना चाहिए बिजनेस कन्वर्जन में। ये हो गया माइंडसेट एक। बहुत जगह पर मैंने देखा कि बिजनेस कंटिन्यूटी को देखते हुए, क्योंकि बिजनेस तो विल बी कंटिन्यू, पार्टनरशिप से आप कंपनी में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हैं, उस पैरामीटर को जो 5 इयर्स और 10 इयर्स का ब्लॉक है उसको टेक केयर किया जाता है। बट कंपनीज एक्ट में कहीं क्लैरिफिकेशन नहीं है कि जब आप एक सेगमेंट से दूसरे सेगमेंट में एंटर करते हो तो आपका 5 इयर्स 10 इयर्स का सेगमेंट जो पैरामीटर है वो सेम आपका लागू होगा। तो मेरा मानना यही है कि आप कंपनी जब बन गई है आपकी नई, तो वहां पर आप फ्रेश अपॉइंटमेंट लीजिए और फ्रेश अपॉइंटमेंट का फाइलिंग कीजिए जाके। सॉरी।
So next question is what is the cost of SME IPO in percentage?
प्रियंका, पहले आप जिन्होंने क्वेश्चन पूछा था उनसे आप एक बार और, इफ यू कैन जस्ट कम ऑन स्क्रीन इफ ही इज सेटिस्फाइड।
Okay. So this question was from Abhinav Singhal ji.
Abhinav ji, please confirm whether it is clear.
अभिनव जी, और कोई आपका सप्लीमेंट्री क्वेश्चन हो तो पूछिए, आई थिंक ये बड़ा ग्रेव क्वेश्चन है आपका।
नहीं, उनका आगे थे। थैंक यू सो मच सर, क्लियर सर।
राइट।
सर आप आंसर करते हैं ना तो सबको पता है कि यू आर द अथॉरिटी ऑफ दिस कंपनी जेट, सो एवरीवन इज आस्किंग, टॉपिक से हट के भी कोई कुछ पूछ सकता है।
एनी टाइम सर, एनी टाइम जी।
यस प्रियंका।
So the next question is, sir, what is the cost of SME IPO in percent?
बड़ा डेडली क्वेश्चन सर, राइट? इसको अमाउंट पे बताना बड़ा मुश्किल है, बट अगर आप परसेंटेज की बात करें तो ये कॉस्ट जितना साइज छोटा होगा, क्योंकि आपको जैसे मैं बताया 25 करोड़ तक का आप ला सकते हैं, तो आपकी जो ये कॉस्ट है, ये कॉस्ट डिपेंड करेगी बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स पे। आपको किस क्लास का इन्वेस्टर मिल रहा है, आपकी किस इंडस्ट्री में आप एक्टिव हैं, आपका टाइम जोन कौन सा है जब आप मार्केट में आना चाहते हैं। तो ये जो टोटल आईपीओ साइज है उसका सम अराउंड 3 to 5% से लेके ये 10-12% तक भी जा सकती है कॉस्ट, टोटल आईपीओ साइज का। तो आपको ये समझ लेना चाहिए कि कॉस्ट कोई स्टैंडर्ड कॉस्ट नहीं है, ये वेरिएबल कॉस्ट है। अब इसमें क्वालिटी भी डिपेंड करती है, आपने किस क्वालिटी टीम को आपने इन किया है फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ डी प्रोसेसेस, आपका फी स्ट्रक्चर क्या है, आप इन्वेस्टर बेस क्या बना रहे हैं, किस टाइप के इन्वेस्टर्स को आपने पिच किया है, ये सब कुछ आपको बहुत ध्यान से कॉस्ट एनालिसिस करनी पड़ेगी। बट मैं एक चीज आपको बहुत अच्छे से रिक्वेस्ट कर सकता हूं कि इसमें हमारा सीए का जो प्रोफेशन है, ये रियली बहुत गुड, अच्छा प्रोफेशन है इन टर्म्स ऑफ निगोशिएटिंग एक्चुअली। सो फीस क्योंकि निगोशिएबल भी है, तो आप कहीं ना कहीं, मैंने तो अपने एक्सपीरियंस में देखा है कि कहीं ना कहीं 0.5% से 1% तक का आपके पास निगोशिएशन का भी एक बहुत अच्छा एक ब्रैकेट रहता है, जहां आप डिफरेंट स्टेक होल्डर से अपने प्रोमोटर के लिए इस फीस को सेव कर सकते हैं। माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, दैट इज योर।
Oh, so the next question is also from the same person. He is asking, what is the range of PE for SME IPO?
एसएमई आईपीओ की जो पी रेंज है वो अगेन इंडस्ट्री, बिजनेस और कंपनी पे डिपेंड करती है. एग्जिस्टिंग उसका पी मार्केट में क्या चल रहा है वो कर चलता है. हो सकता है एक सर्विस इंडस्ट्री है जो बहुत अट्रैक्टिव है, उसका पी 10 हो सकता है, 12 हो सकता है, 14 भी हो सकता है. मार्केट में हो सकता है उसका पी आपको 30, 35, 40 नजर आ रहा है. बट जब आप इन्वेस्टर से बात करने जाते हैं तो आपको निगोशिएट पी करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि वैल्यूएशन पी बेस मिलती है आपको. एंड पी बड़ा क्लियर है. पी मल्टीप्लाई बाय पैट आपकी वैल्यूएशन निकल कर आ जाती है. अगर आपके पास प्रॉफिट आपकी बुक्स में 10 करोड़ के हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड पैट, प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स, और आपको 10 का पी मिलता तो आपकी 250 करोड़ की आपकी वैल्यूएशन निकल आती है. लेकिन अगर आप इस पी को निगोशिएट करना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि इंडस्ट्री एवरेज उसका कहीं ना कहीं 14 आ रहा है और आपको 10 ऑफर हो रहा है, तो आप उसको कहीं ना कहीं 10.5, 11, 11.5, 12 निगोशिएट करते हैं इन्वेस्टर्स के साथ. तो कोई इसका स्टैंडर्ड रूल नहीं है कि पी आपको कितना मिलेगा. वेरियस वेरियस फैक्टर्स विच डिटरमाइन दिस पी एक्चुअली. स्टैंडर्ड अगर आप इंडस्ट्री पे जाओगे, जब आप गूगल करते हो तो आपको पी मिलेगा. गूगल पे आप जाओगे, अरे इस इंडस्ट्री का कितने पी मिल रहा है, तो आपको वहां दिखाई देगा कि इसका तो 40 पी है, तो मुझे 10 क्यों मिल रहा है. तो आपका पी हो सकता है बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स पे है. वो जो पी दिखाई दे रहा है वो ऑलरेडी लिस्टेड कंपनी का दिखाई दे रहा है, ऑलरेडी जिस कंपनी ने प्रूव कर दिया अपने को एज ए पब्लिक. बट आपको तो प्रूव करना है अभी. तो 10 से 40 का जो रास्ता है वो निगोशिएशन का रास्ता है, हो सकता है इन्वेस्टर के साथ चलने का. सो यू हैव टू निगोशिएट दैट पी आल्सो.
So I hope Akshay ji you got your answer.
पी पे कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो आई विल डेफिनेटली लव टू टेक इट.
Shall we move to the next question, sir?
प्लीज.
For a statutory auditor, will acting like an IPO advisor or approaching or meeting investors, etc., not affect his independence?
Definitely, these are restricted by regulator code of conduct also. So you have to be very clear when your client is asking something. So you are prone to that audit criteria only. But for others, where you are not a statutory auditor, you can play IPO advisor role. So it is the institute actually which paved the way. I think Sumit sir is there, who will definitely pitch this advice to the council, where they can just have this exclusive area for their members. But yes, you are right as a question that it loses the independence. So as an independent auditor, I am not saying this is a simultaneous responsibility that you are working as a statutory auditor also and you are working as an IPO advisor also. This is one of those segment which you are opening up for your firm actually. So your firm can act for why where you are not a statutory auditor.
So, sir, here we will have to see that it is not a subsidiary or holding or a JV or a sister concern. That chain will have to be checked by the chartered accountant.
Absolutely, Sumit.
Maybe he will have to give some indemnity or undertaking that in
You are
the
not.
it's
You're
not
not.
in the definition of relatives or any
Yes,
associate
yes,
company.
yes. And this definition of relative, what I have seen, as per the Companies Act, as per the Income Tax Act, and as per the SEBI regulations, there is different
It is
relative
different.
definitions there. So you go by the SEBI regulations.
Okay.
It's a very large one, very large one.
So our next question is, sir, how we will handle old non-compliance which has been regularized now?
See, compliances or non-compliances, when becomes inevitable after your due diligence process, you have to take one action: how to make good of all the non-compliances. Now, non-compliances will come under two ambit. Number one is compoundable, and number two is non-compoundable. When you look at the provisions of Companies Act, now which has boldly have become decriminalized, so those non-compliances can become good actually. Once it become good, you have received the adjudication order, you have paid the adjudication cost. Now your non-compliance has become good. You have to disclose under the risk factor of DRHP. So this is the requirement of that IPO process. So whenever this process has been completed by your team, that certain non-compliances have become compliance as a or after the compounding process, just disclose in the risk factor document under the DRHP. So this is nothing but just a disclosure with the public that yes, we were non-compliant at some point of time, but we have made this non-compliant as compliant.
Okay, so Manoj ji got his answer. He's saying thanks to you, sir. So, any more questions from participants? Please share your questions in the chat box.
आई थिंक सर ने वंडरफुली कवर किया है टॉपिक को. देयर आर
सुमित
नो
सर,
अदर
अगर
क्वेश्चन.
मेरे पास अभी टाइम है तो मैं 5 मिनट और देना चाहूंगा.
यस सर यू कैन सर.
मैं फ्रेंड्स के साथ ये एक चीज करना चाहूंगा कि जब भी हम लोग इस प्रोसेस में आगे जाएं, जो सुमित कंसल जी ने भी अपना क्वेश्चन रखा था, तो हम अपने ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस को बिल्कुल क्लियर करके जाएं. जब हम जाते हैं तो हम सबसे पहले कॉर्पोरेट एंड स्टैट्यूटरी ड्यू डिलिजेंस करते हैं, जो फाइनेंशियल नॉन फाइनेंशियल दोनों होता है. उसके बाद हम फाइनेंशियल डीडी करते हैं. नाउ फाइनेंशियल डीडी विल इंक्लूड एवरीथिंग, your books of accounts, your backup documents, your taxation aspects, your direct and indirect aspects, your banking facilities, your paying history. You are not a willful defaulter. Checking those with the third party sites, websites, taking some third party certifications. ये सब फाइनेंशियल डीडी का पार्ट बन जाएगा आपके. फिर आप लीगल एंड कंप्लायंस डीडी में आते हैं, तो आप अपने कुछ संगी साथियों का, लाइक कंपनी सेक्रेटरीज, लीगल फ्रेटर्निटी, विद योर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट फ्रेटर्निटी, आप उनको जोड़ते हैं और उनको लेकर आते हैं. देन यू कंडक्ट योर लीगल एंड कंप्लायंस डीडी. ऑपरेशनल एंड एचआर डीडी बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट होता है आप लोगों के लिए. उनके लेबर लॉस की क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, क्या पैरामीटर्स उन्होंने अपने लिए सेट किए हुए थे, उनका एचआर डीडी जब आप करते हैं तो एचआर डीडी के अंदर क्या ग्रेजुटी के या पीएफ के या एएसआई के नियम को रखा गया है, ठीक से फॉलो किया गया नहीं किया गया, ये आप भी को चेक करना होगा. और जब आप जाते हो तो इशू स्पेसिफिक, जो एसएमई आईपीओ स्पेसिफिक डीडी है, वो मर्चेंट बैंकर अपनी चेकलिस्ट देता है. तो यहाँ एक प्रोसेस बड़ा अच्छा सा बन के आता है कि जब आप आईपीओ एडवाइजर का रोल लेते हैं 1 या 2 साल तक, जब तक मर्चेंट बैंकर बोर्ड पर नहीं आया, तब तक आप अपने वीडीआर को एक क्रिएट करते हैं. वीडीआर एक कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां आप अपने डॉक्यूमेंट्स को एक सेगमेंट में डालते हैं और एक जगह क्रिस्टलाइज करते हैं. और वहां से फिर जब मर्चेंट बैंकर आएगा, वो अपनी इंफॉर्मेशन को डिग आउट करेगा. वो आर्टिकल्स लेगा, मेमोरेंडम लेगा, लास्ट कुछ ईयर्स के मिनट्स लेगा, जैसे 5 साल के इनकॉर्पोरेशन से लेगा, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स लेगा, रीस्टेट करने के लिए लेगा, लेजर्स लेगा, लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट्स लेगा, एचआर से रिलेटेड लेगा, डिक्लेरेशंस लेगा, आपके सर्टिफिकेशंस लेगा. तो आप ऑलरेडी कहीं ना कहीं वीडीआर जब आप क्रिएट करते हो डॉक्यूमेंट को, तो आपके पास हर डॉक्यूमेंट रेडी होता है. तो जिस दिन मर्चेंट बैंकर को अंदर आना है, सिस्टम के अंदर अपॉइंट होना है, उससे पहले एज ए एडवाइजर मैं अपना 90% काम पूरा कर चुका होता हूं, जहां तक मैंने वेटिंग की होती है उस सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स की. नाउ आई एम रेडी टू शेयर दैट डॉक्यूमेंट विद द मर्चेंट बैंकर. वाई दिस इज सो, इसको थोड़ा समझना जरूरी है. मर्चेंट बैंकर रेगुलेशंस के अंदर सेबी ने ये बड़ा स्पेसिफिक कर रखा है कि जब भी कोई डॉक्यूमेंट वीडीआर में आ गया, जहां से मर्चेंट बैंकर उठा रहा है डॉक्यूमेंट को वेट करने के लिए, वो चेंज नहीं होगा. आप उसको ऐसा नहीं है कि चेंज कर दें. तो आपने जितना भी रेक्टिफिकेशन करना है, जितना भी कंप्लायंट करना है, जितना भी आपने चीजों को कंपाउंड करके मेक गुड करना है, वो आपने मर्चेंट बैंकर के आने से पहले कर लेना है. दैट इज देयर. उसके बाद मर्चेंट बैंकर आएगा और 90% पैरामीटर्स पे अपनी चेकलिस्ट देके वो आगे बढ़ेगा आपके साथ. नाउ यू आर देयर टू क्रिएट अ डॉक्यूमेंट दैट इज कॉल्ड डीआरएचपी. आप उस रेड हियरिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस को, ड्राफ्ट रेड हियरिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस को तैयार कर पाएंगे. और रेड हियरिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस को तैयार करने के बाद आपको कम से कम 2 बार वेट करने का मौका मिलेगा, 3 बार वेट करने का मौका मिलेगा. और जब भी कोई चेंज ओवर आएगा, तो आप उस चेंज को भी वहां इनकॉर्पोरेट करते हैं, और इनकॉर्पोरेट करके आप उस डीआरएचपी को दोबारा फाइल करते हो, एंड देन उसको वेट करा के आप फाइनल आरएचपी पे जाते हो, दैट इज कॉल्ड रेड हियरिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस. और करीब हफ्ता या 10 दिन पहले आप इस रेड हियरिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस को जमा कर देते हो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के पास या मेन बोर्ड में सेबी के पास. और जब उसकी अप्रूवल आती है आपके पास, तो आप मे बी विद इन वीक 10-15 डेज टाइम अपने पब्लिक इश्यू को मार्केट में लेकर आ जाते हो. कुछ प्री आईपीओ राउंड्स को आपको देखना होता है, वेदर इट इज नेसेसरी, क्या आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट की जरूरत है, तो आप प्री आईपीओ राउंड में उसको पूरा कर लेते हैं अगर आपको ठीक ठाक वैल्यूएशन मिल रही है. कुछ वैल्यूएशन आपको हो सकता है बहुत एक्साइटिंग मिले, लेकिन हो सकता है वैल्यूएशन आपको एक्साइटिंग ना मिले. लेकिन वैल्यूएशन अगर एक्साइटिंग नहीं मिल रही है, लेकिन इन्वेस्टर अच्छा मिल रहा है, जिसका नाम आप आईपीओ प्रोसेस में यूज कर पा रहे हैं, तो आई थिंक आपको वहां चले जाना चाहिए, या आप एडवाइस करते हैं कि आप चले जाइए। ये कुछ और एक्स्ट्रा बातें हैं जो आपको ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए while doing this exercise to educate your promoters or client regarding SME IPO. Over to you, Priyanka ji.
So in the meantime, we got a couple of more questions. So shall we take that?
I was expecting this actually. That is why I just intervened for 5 minutes.
Okay. So the question is how to select merchant banker.
मर्चेंट बैंकर इज समथिंग वेरी पर्सनल एक्चुअली। आपके पास मर्चेंट बैंकर का हिस्ट्री होना चाहिए, उसने कितने आईपीओ कर लिए हैं, ये आपको एसएमई आईपीओ के प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाके पता लग जाएगा उसकी हिस्ट्री मर्चेंट बैंकर की। आप उसके साथ 2 या 3 मीटिंग करवाइए अपने प्रमोटर की। प्रमोटर के साथ जब भी मर्चेंट बैंकर बैठ रहा है, आप भी बैठिए जाकर वहां पर उस मीटिंग के अंदर, समझिए मर्चेंट बैंकर की क्या कंडीशंस हैं, मर्चेंट बैंकर कितना प्रोफेशनल है, उसकी टीम क्या है, कितने आईपीओ उसने सक्सेसफुली कर लिए हैं, कितने उसने पिच किए थे, उसका ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस की टीम कितनी अच्छी है, राइट, ये सब कुछ। और कॉस्ट कॉस्ट एनालिसिस आपको कर लेनी चाहिए। तो जब भी आप मर्चेंट बैंकर को लेकर आते हैं तो मर्चेंट बैंकर आपको बहुत जगह से आपको अप्रोच हो जाते हैं, पीयर ग्रुप से अप्रोच हो जाते हैं। जब मैं जाता हूं तो मैं अपने कहीं ना कहीं पीयर ग्रुप में फोन करके मालूम कर लेता हूं कि यार कोई रेफर कर सकते हैं क्या मर्चेंट बैंकर अच्छा, देन आई थ्रो सम मीटिंग्स ऑन दैम। मैं कुछ पॉइंट्स अपने लेकर जाता हूं, उनसे बात करता हूं, और बेस्ड ऑन दोज पॉइंट्स जब मर्चेंट बैंकर नहीं होते मीटिंग में, तब मैं अपने प्रमोटर के साथ बैठ के कॉस्ट एनालिसिस करता हूं, ऑपरेशन एनालिसिस करता हूं, लॉजिस्टिक एनालिसिस करता हूं, सक्सेस एनालिसिस करता हूं। रादर मैं कभी कभी हो सकता है मैं कॉस्ट 10% देने को भी तैयार होता हूं। अगर किसी मर्चेंट बैंकर की कॉस्ट 6% आ रही है, बट एक मर्चेंट बैंकर की कॉस्ट 10% आ रही है और उसका सक्सेस रेट हाई है, तो मैं उस सक्सेस वाले के साथ जाना पसंद करता हूं। दैट इज देयर। तो ये मेरा कहीं ना कहीं शॉर्टलिस्टिंग मर्चेंट बैंकर की जो भी होती है, मैं अपने प्रमोटर के साथ बैठ के करता हूं।
So the next question is, sir, difference between due diligence process when we sell our subsidiary company and SME IPO.
When we sell,
Our subsidiary company and SME IPO.
क्वेश्चन को मैं इस तरह से समझूंगा कि एसएमई आईपीओ मैंने होल्डिंग कंपनी का प्रपोज किया है, तो वहां पर सब्सिडरी कंपनीज को किस तरह से कंप्लायंस करेंगे, इज इट राइट? अगर वो क्वेश्चन अपना क्लियर कर पा रहे हैं।
Akshay ji, can you please
Yes. Yes,
clarify
sir.
your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
actually, in past we handled due diligence or when we sold one of our subsidiary company. So I want to understand whether the due diligence process is similar to that or it is totally different.
टोटली डिफरेंट अक्षय जी, टोटली डिफरेंट। मींस टोटली इन द सेंस कि ये जो आप बता रहे हो, जब सब्सिडरी कंपनी आपने दी होगी तो वो आपने विद ऑल एसेट्स एंड लायबिलिटीज दी होगी, राइट,
Yes, sir.
बेची होगी, आपने
Mhm.
बिजनेस सेल ऑफ किया होगा, राइट। तो वो प्रोसेस, उसकी ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस और उसकी चेकलिस्ट अलग होती हैं। वहां पर एक सिंगल सेगमेंट चला होगा आपका, तो जो एक्वायरर होगा उससे भी उस सब्सिडरी कंपनी को लेने वाला, उसने आपको कुछ जब चेकलिस्ट दी होंगी, तो आप ये लगाइए कि आईपीओ चेकलिस्ट को जब मैं बात करता हूं तो एक ही सेगमेंट को उसने लिया होगा, पकड़ा होगा रादर। तो ये आईपीओ का प्रोसेस तो इसे ह्यूज वन, ये रेगुलेटर भी एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा है, ये मर्चेंट बैंकर भी कर रहा है, लीगल टीम भी कर रही है, इन्वेस्टर भी आपसे ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस को ले रहा है, आपसे सर्टिफिकेशंस को भी ले रहा है। ये कहीं ना कहीं जब आप सब्सिडी कंपनी को आप कहीं ना कहीं सेल करके आए होंगे या ट्रांसफर किया होगा बिजनेस को, तब वहां पर इतनी ज्यादा आई थिंक ये फॉर्मेलिटीज आपने नहीं निभाई होंगी। तो ये डिफरेंटली है, बिल्कुल बहुत डिफरेंट है।
Okay, sir. Thank you.
हाँ, मैं आपके क्वेश्चन से एक क्वेश्चन को ये समझा देता हूं कि जब मैं होल्डिंग कंपनी का आईपीओ प्रोसेस कर रहा होता और उसके पीछे 4 कंपनियां सब्सिडी खड़ी होती हैं, तो ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस पांचों का होगा, होल्डिंग का भी होगा, सब्सिडी कंपनीज का भी होगा, क्योंकि कंसोलिडेशन है, उसमें कंसोलिडेशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, तो उसका जितना स्टैट्यूटरी रिकॉर्ड है, एवरीथिंग हैज टू बी जस्ट चेक्ड। तो ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस के अंदर एवरी कंपनी which is associated with your main company, that is a holding company, it will be covered actually. Over to you, Priyanka ji.
I think we are done with the questions, sir. So,
प्रियंका जी, मैं एक चीज पूछना चाहूंगा सर से।
हाँ
Sir,
जी sir.
सर, एसएमई आईपीओ में अमाउंट की भी कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन है क्या कि कितना फंड रेज कर सकते हैं बीएससी के लिए या एनएससी के लिए अगर जाते हैं तो?
सर जब आप अपनी कैपिटलाइजेशन में जाते हैं, मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन में, जैसे आपने 25 करोड़ के ऊपर गए फॉर एग्जांपल, और आपने 3 साल पूरे कर लिए हैं, क्योंकि 25 करोड़ के ऊपर तो आप डे वन पे चले जाओगे अगर आपकी 2 टाइम्स 3 टाइम्स पर वैल्यूएशन होगी, तो फॉर एग्जांपल लेकिन जब आप सेगमेंट में जाते हैं तो आपको 2 साल का कूलिंग पीरियड मेन सेगमेंट में जाने के लिए लगता है, अगर मेन बोर्ड पे आपको माइग्रेट करना है। तो
अच्छा।
वैल्यूएशन वाइज आपकी 25 करोड़ की कंपनी हो सकता है 100 करोड़ की भी बन जाए। तो आपको माइग्रेट जो है वो ऑटोमेटिक नहीं है, वो एक सर्टेन पीरियड है, दैट इज 2 years, तब आप अपना माइग्रेट कर सकते हैं। दैट इज अमाउंट वाइज मैंने आपको बताया था कि 25 करोड़ तक के कैपिटल को आप मार्केट में ला सकते हो। उसकी वैल्यूएशन हो सकता है 100 करोड़ हो सकता है 10 करोड़ का
ओके।
भी पैट आप ला रहे हैं, 25 करोड़ का भी पैट लेकर आ रहे हैं आप। दैट इज योर
दिस इज फॉर SM, BSc और NSE both.
बोथ।
So it is clear, sir.
इट्स अ वेरी
So I.
एक्साइटिंग, बहुत एक्साइटिंग है सुमित जी।
हम्म।
और मैं समझता हूँ कि 2 घंटे का जस्टिफाइड पीरियड नहीं है हम लोगों के लिए, नो डाउट। इसमें तो हम
सर बट
लोग,
जो करना चाहता है ना वो आगे बढ़ता है सर फिर।
वो आगे बढ़ता है।
हाँ।
तो मैंने, जैसे मैं प्रोफेशनली अपने को बताऊं, आप तो मुझे जानते हैं, मैं पर्सनली कंप्लायंस में रहता हूं, उसमें काफी मतलब ड्यू डिलिजेंस प्रोसेस में रहता हूं। तो मैंने
हम्म,
4 साल पहले इस क्षेत्र को चुना,
हम्म।
और ये कोरोना में चुना मैंने। आप सोचिए, जब कहीं एसएमई का
उसके
कहीं लेना
बाद ही
देना,
रिजल्ट आने शुरू हुए थे इसके, जो
इसी के
23 में
बाद
24 में।
रिजल्ट
हाँ।
आने शुरू हो गए।
हम्म,
क्योंकि मैं कहीं ये गैस कर चुका था कि कोरोना के बाद जो एसएमई सेक्टर है ये बूम करेगा, और इसको कहीं ना कहीं लिबराइज किया जाएगा मार्केट को, और स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस कुछ लिबराइज पॉलिसीज लेकर आएंगे एसएमई वेंचर को लाने के लिए, इन्वेस्टर का भी इंटरेस्ट बढ़ेगा इसके ऊपर। तो ये सेगमेंट कहीं नया खड़ा होने वाला है, और वो खड़ा हो गया, आपके लिए काम खड़ा हो गया। दैट इज
सर वन मोर व्यू मैं आपका जानना चाहता हूँ। कल एक इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स की न्यूज़ थी कि 1 करोड़ तक की कंपनीज, टर्नओवर तक की कंपनी एग्जेम्प्ट हो जाएंगी फ्रॉम द ऑडिटिंग प्रोस्पेक्ट।
यस।
व्हाट इज योर व्यू सर ऑन दिस? अभी तो न्यूज़ थी हालांकि, क्योंकि सर्टेन अमेंडमेंट प्रपोज्ड इन द करंट विंटर सेशन ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, सो आई एक्सपेक्ट कि दिस आ सकती है।
सर
तो
उसका वो न्यूज मैंने भी सुमित जी पढ़ी है, मैंने सर्कुलेट
हम्म,
होती हुई देखी है।
हम्म,
बट उसको सब्सटेंशिएट कैसे किया है मिनिस्ट्री ने, ये अभी तक पता नहीं लगा है कि
हाँ अभी
उसके।
चीजें नहीं पता कि केवल
हाँ,
टर्नओवर के बेसिस पे एग्जाम्पशन दे देंगे, तो इट मींस कि हमारी लोन एडवांसेस अगर मल्टीपल करोड्स में हैं तो हम उसे
यस,
कैसे सब्सटेंशिएट कर
कैसे
रहे हैं?
सब्सटेंट करेंगे। तो ये मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इसको थोड़ा सा डॉक्यूमेंट को और पढ़ने की जरूरत है कि मिनिस्ट्री का ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है इसके पीछे, क्योंकि
हम्म।
इसमें तो बहुत मतलब मेरे लिए बहुत एक्साइटिंग नहीं है ये।
तो मिनिस्ट्री
अ,
का ऑब्जेक्टिव तो ईज ऑफ कंप्लाइंस होगा। वो कहते हैं ना MSME के लिए ईज ऑफ कंप्लाइंस के नाम पर वो सारी चीजें हटाने की प्रयास करते हैं।
सर मेरे लिए
जैसे
और
टैक्स ऑडिट,
मेरे
प्रोप्राइटरशिप के केस में टैक्स ऑडिट 10 करोड़ तक का उन्होंने हटा
हटा
दिया कि
दिया।
कोई जरूरत
यस।
नहीं है।
तो मेरे लिए सर ये रेगुलेटरी एस्पेक्ट, मैं तो पर्सनली इस चीज को अप्रिशिएट नहीं करता। मैं तो ओपन फोरम पे भी जाके बोल सकता हूँ इस बात को,
डेफिनेटली डेफिनेटली।
कि ऑडिट इज समथिंग, और बिजनेस और ईज डूइंग ऑफ बिजनेस इज समथिंग,
हम्म,
राइट। ईज डूइंग ऑफ बिजनेस बहुत सारे और पैरामीटर से आता है। अगर आपको ऑडिट कराना ही है तो 1 करोड़ की कंपनी का ऑडिट बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, उसको आपने टैक्स ऑडिट से तो अलग कर ही रखा है। सो ऑडिट कराने का मतलब है सम थर्ड अथॉरिटी और थर्ड regulator is imposing some sort of a satisfaction on the performance of that particular segment of business। तो 1 करोड़ में तो बहुत आती हैं सर कंपनियां,
सर बहुत
बहुत
निकल
आएंगी,
जाएंगी, बहुत
बहुत निकल
निकल
जाएंगी।
जाएंगी। फिर उसमें क्या क्या होगा वो भी नहीं कह सकते कि 1 करोड़ टर्नओवर नहीं है, बट
जी,
उनकी एसेट्स लोन एडवांसेस मल्टीपल है, तो उसमें भी
मल्टीपल।
बड़ा लूपहोल
तो
रहेगा।
उसके और फर्दर क्या रखा जाएगा पार्लियामेंट के सामने, इसको देखने की अभी जरूरत है, वेट करने की जरूरत है। बट एज सच
राइट।
जो जिस रूप में ये सर्कुलेट हो रहा है,
हम्म,
पर्सनली अगर आप मुझसे पूछें कि मेरा अपना खुद का अपना तजुर्बा और किसी का नहीं है सर,
हम्म।
इट्स इट्स नॉट दैट एक्साइटिंग एक्चुअली, अगर आप ईज डूइंग ऑफ बिजनेस से जोड़ रहे हो।
बट प्रोफेशनल बॉडी लाइक ICSI और ICAI जो भी एक्सपेक्ट करती है, विश करती है कि ये नहीं होना चाहिए, बट होता तो वही है ना जो फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री या गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया चाहती है।
एब्सोल्युटली,
इन
एब्सोल्युटली,
सर्टेन केसेस बैंक ऑडिट लिमिट इंक्रीज फ्रॉम 3 करोड़ टू 20 करोड़ की, 20 करोड़ तक टर्नओवर की बैंक ब्रांच ऑडिट रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है। टैक्स
राइट।
ऑडिट में 1 से 3, 5 और 10 हो गए। तो
और
लाइक
नहीं
वाइज गवर्नमेंट कैन डू दिस, बट
सुमित जी,
दिस इज नॉट इन फेवर ऑफ इंडस्ट्री।
मेरे लिए अपनी बात को सब्सटेंशिएट करने का एक कारण और भी है। चाहे आपकी 1,000 करोड़ की कंपनी है, 1 करोड़ की कंपनी है, फ्रॉड इज फ्रॉड।
फ्रॉड इज फ्रॉड।
सो इफ दैट इज इनएविटेबल, या जिसको अगर आप कहें कि 100% आप इसको बचा सकते हैं अगर ऑडिट नहीं दे रहे हैं, कुछ और आपके सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन हैं जो प्रमोटर दे रहा है, तो मैं कह नहीं सकता कुछ बात को, बट आई थिंक इट विल नॉट सर्व द पर्पस।
राइट राइट राइट। सो विद दिस सर, वेरी वंडरफुल सेशन। मैं सुमित कंसल जी हमारे अच्छे मित्र हैं, इनसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि फॉर्मल वोट ऑफ थैंक्स करें एक बार।
सुमित जी बहुत जल्दी फेस टू फेस भी एक सेशन करेंगे।
Right. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, Sharma ji. Your wonderful insights were very valuable. I hope all the participants gained. And it is such a new topic which is upcoming in the future as we are getting more and more corporate friendly in the country. And many thanks to Team CASA, especially to Sumit Gargji and Madam Priyanka Jindal for organizing this series. I am myself a speaker on this Sunday. I'll be giving and rendering my on
हाँ,
couple of
मैं सुमित
topics.
जी का इंट्रोडक्शन और बता दूं एक इन शॉर्ट कि सुमित जी डिसिप्लिनरी केसेस में डील करते हैं एंड वेरी गुड ही इज डूइंग इन दिस डिसिप्लिनरी मैकेनिज्म की उससे रिलेटेड कोई भी लीगल ड्राफ्टिंग है उससे रिलेटेड काफी और संडे को ही इज वन ऑफ द स्पीकर सो वी
Great.
विल डिस्कस विद द एक्सपेक्ट लीगल
Look
एक्सपेक्ट
forward. Sumit ji, look forward.
so
Thank you,
thank you
sir.
very much
Thanks a
sir
lot, sir.
once again Deepak sir
Pleasure.
wonderful session once again thank you very much thank you Priyanka
Thank you, sir.
Sumit ji and all the participants see you tomorrow once again on the new topic fifth day. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.